Have you ever noticed a sudden, quiet ache when you look at someone you have loved your whole life, and you suddenly realize they have grown older? There is a strange kind of grief that arrives long before anyone is actually gone. Most of your suffering in these moments is not caused by what is happening right now. It is caused by how tightly you are trying to hold on to the past and how deeply you fear the future. If you have ever felt a heavy, exhausted anxiety while watching a parent age, feeling time slip away while you stand by helplessly, this is for you. Stay until the end, because the final lesson may change the way you see this pain forever. The first truth we must face is the silent grief of watching time pass. It happens in the smallest, quietest moments. You notice it in the way your father takes a little longer to stand up from his chair. You hear it in the slight softening of your mother's voice on the telephone. You see it in the changing landscape of their hands. Hands that once seemed invincible, hands that tied your shoes and carried your weight, now looking fragile, weathered by the years. When we witness this, our first instinct is panic. We want to look away. We want to freeze the clock. We want to go back to a time when they were our strong protectors, when we did not have to worry about their health, their memory, or their limited days. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that this deep, inner ache comes from our resistance to impermanence. In Buddhist thought, everything in the physical world is in a constant state of flow. Nothing rests. The suffering we feel is not inherently because things change. Our suffering arises because we demand that they remain exactly the same. We cling to a frozen image of our parents, and every time reality fails to match that frozen image, our hearts break just a little bit more. Imagine standing in a beautiful flowing river, trying desperately to hold the water in your bare hands. The tighter you clench your fists, trying to trap the water and keep it from moving, the faster it slips through your fingers. Your hands cramp. You become exhausted. And still, the river flows. But if you stop fighting, if you gently open your hands and simply let the water wash over your palms, you can feel its coolness. You can experience the river without the exhausting agony of trying to capture it. Time is that river. When you sit with your aging parents and you spend the entire visit worrying about the day they will no longer be there, you are clenching your fists. You are grieving a future loss so intensely that you are missing the living, breathing person sitting directly in front of you. Ask yourself, when you look at them, are you truly seeing them as they are today? Or are you staring at your own fear? Is this fear bringing you closer to them, or is it building a wall of silent anxiety between you? What are you afraid will happen if you simply let the sadness exist without fighting it? The next time you are with them and that heavy wave of anticipatory grief washes over you, do not run from it. Pause, breathe, let the feeling rise without making it your identity. Silently say to yourself, I feel this sorrow only because my love is so deep. Then, gently bring your focus back to the present moment. Listen to the sound of their voice. Notice the warmth of the room. Do your part to love them right now. Then release the heavy outcome of tomorrow. Because peace is not found by pretending time has stopped. Peace is found by stepping into the river and loving them gently while the water flows. But releasing our grip on time is only the first step. Letting go of the image we have constructed of them requires a different kind of courage. And this is where the next truth begins. 2. The illusion of frozen time. Here is a truth few people want to face. The image you hold of your parents in your mind might be exactly what is causing you so much pain. When we grow up, we unconsciously freeze our parents in time. We take a mental snapshot of them at their strongest, their most capable, their most invincible, and we lock it away in our minds. They are the anchors. They are the ones who fix things. But life does not stand still. Suddenly, you find yourself having to repeat a sentence because they did not hear you. You watch them struggle to open a simple jar, or you notice them confused by a task they used to manage with ease. In these moments, it is incredibly common to feel a sudden flash of frustration or even quiet anger. But that frustration is just grief wearing a mask. You are not angry at them. You are mourning the loss of the protectors you once knew, feeling betrayed by a natural order you thought would last forever. Buddhism reminds us that much of our suffering comes from our attachment to a fixed identity. We suffer because we insist that the world and the people we love remain static. We cling so desperately to a past version of a person that we refuse to accept the reality of the person who is unfolding right in front of us today. Imagine a grand ancient tree standing in the center of a quiet field. In your memory, this tree is always in the middle of summer. Its branches are thick, heavy with deep green leaves, providing a massive, unbroken canopy of shade and protection. But the earth turns. Autumn arrives, the wind blows cold, and the leaves slowly begin to drift to the ground, leaving the branches bare against the sky. If you stand under that tree and demand that it provide the exact same shade it did in July, you will suffer. You will think the tree is failing you. But the tree is not broken. It is simply moving through the natural, inevitable cycle of its existence. Think about your own life and the ways you demand that it remain summer. We see this resistance in our modern lives constantly. When a family holiday feels hollow because your parents are simply too exhausted to host, or when you feel completely overwhelmed by the sudden weight of having to manage their appointments and decisions, the mind resists. We try to force things to be the way they used to be. We try to recreate a feeling of safety that has already passed. Ask yourself, are you secretly resisting their aging because it reminds you of your own lack of control? Are you demanding that they remain the invincible caregivers, even as they gently transition into needing your patience and care? What are you afraid will happen if you finally let go of that old mental snapshot? The next time you feel that sharp sting of impatience or sorrow when they cannot do what they used to do, pause, breathe. Observe the thought without following it. Stop trying to force the door open to a past season that has already ended. Let the feeling of loss rise without making it an argument against reality, because true love does not demand that a person stay frozen in time. True love is the willingness to sit with them quietly in the autumn. But accepting this new season often brings an even heavier shadow into our hearts. And this is where the next truth begins. Because beneath the quiet acceptance of today, there is often a deeply exhausting dread about what awaits us tomorrow. 3. The burden of anticipatory grief. What if the hardest part of losing someone is the mourning you do while they are still living? We often believe that grief begins only after someone takes their final breath. But the reality is much heavier. You start grieving the day you realize their time is limited. You sit across from your parents at the kitchen table, and instead of truly hearing their stories, your mind is racing toward a day when they will no longer be there. You are already mourning the holidays they will miss. You are already rehearsing the silence of empty rooms and unanswered phone calls. This is the exhausting weight of living in 2 time zones at once. Physically sitting in the present, but emotionally suffering in a future that has not even arrived. One of the deepest lessons of Buddhism is that our suffering is multiplied when our minds wander away from the present moment. Buddhism reminds us that the future does not exist anywhere except in our imagination. When we drag our awareness into a fearful tomorrow, we abandon the reality of today. We allow the shadow of something that has not happened yet to steal the light of the time we still hold in our hands. Imagine walking down a long, winding path through a beautiful, quiet forest. The air is warm and the light is soft. But someone warns you that at the very end of this path, there is a deep, dark valley. Instead of enjoying the sunlight breaking through the trees, instead of listening to the wind and feeling the earth beneath your feet, you spend the entire journey staring intensely at the horizon. You brace your body for a cold you cannot yet feel. You suffer the darkness of the valley long before you ever reach it. And by the time you finally arrive, you realize you have missed the entire beautiful walk. We do this in our lives constantly. We let the fear of loss completely ruin the actual presence of love. We lie awake at night, letting our thoughts drag us into terrifying scenarios about hospital visits, difficult decisions, and the ultimate goodbye. We try to mentally prepare ourselves for the pain, believing that if we rehearse the tragedy, it will somehow hurt less when it finally arrives. But the pain of a future loss cannot be paid in advance. You are not protecting your heart. You are only borrowing suffering and spending it on a day that is meant for living. Ask yourself, is your fear of losing them causing you to miss them right now? Is this thought bringing you peace or feeding your fear? What beautiful, simple moments are you missing today because your mind is already mourning tomorrow? The next time your mind races forward into panic, stop, breathe, catch your mind when it runs away to the end of the story. Gently bring it back to this exact moment. Let the feeling of dread rise without making it your identity. You do not have to carry the weight of a future that has not yet arrived. Do your part today, then release the outcome, because peace is not the absence of the valley at the end of the road. It is the decision to keep your eyes on the sunlight while you are still walking in it. But returning to the present moment does not mean pretending the sadness is not there. And this is where the next truth begins. Because true healing starts when you stop fighting the sorrow and start making space for it. 4. Making room for the sorrow. What if the harder you try to push the sadness away, the heavier it becomes? Here is a truth we rarely admit. We are taught that grief is a problem to be solved. When that sudden, quiet ache rises up as we watch our parents grow frail, our first instinct is to run. We try to distract ourselves. We tell ourselves we should just be grateful they are still here, forcing a rigid kind of positivity upon our own hearts. We busy ourselves with caregiving tasks, organizing medicine, or scheduling appointments. We treat the sadness like an unwanted intruder that must be forced out so we can continue to function. But burying the pain does not make it disappear. Trying to evict your grief only makes it knock louder. Buddhism reminds us that our suffering multiplies when we violently resist our natural emotions. The goal of a peaceful mind is not to eradicate sadness. It is not to force yourself into a state of emotional numbness. Instead, one of the deepest lessons of Buddhism is the practice of radical acceptance. We must learn to expand our internal space, allowing the grief to exist without letting it consume us. We invite the sorrow in, not as an enemy to be defeated, but as a quiet guest. Imagine a small, quiet house with a tightly locked door. Outside, a heavy storm is pounding against the wood. The wind howls and the rain beats violently. If you stand against the door, pushing with all your weight to keep the storm outside, you will become utterly exhausted. Your muscles will burn. Your entire life becomes nothing but the desperate struggle against the door. But if you take a step back and slowly open it, the wind will rush in. The room will get cold. It might feel terrifying for a brief second, but suddenly, the exhausting struggle is over. The storm is just weather, passing through an open space. Think about how you handle the difficult days with your parents. When your mother repeats a story she just told you 5 minutes ago, or when you notice your father quietly struggling to put on his shoes, a sudden wave of heavy reality hits you. Instead of feeling it, you might instantly change the subject, or start cleaning the kitchen, or immediately pull out your phone. You are pushing against the door. You are exhausting yourself trying to hold back a natural storm. that simply wants to be acknowledged. Ask yourself, what are you doing with your quiet moments of sorrow? Are you making room for them, or are you constantly trying to outrun them? What would happen if you simply let the sadness sit quietly beside you for a moment, without trying to fix it or fight it? The next time that familiar heaviness arrives in your chest, do not run. Pause. Breathe. Stop trying to force the door shut. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity. Say quietly to your own heart, "This hurts, and that is okay." Give the sadness a moment to breathe. Let the storm pass without becoming the storm. Because peace is not a room where no storms ever enter. Peace is the courage to leave the door open. But making room for the sorrow requires us to understand the nature of change itself. And this is where the next truth begins. Because everything we love is bound to a rhythm much larger than ourselves. 5. The metaphor of the changing seasons. What if the fading of the light is not a tragedy, but a natural promise? Here is the truth few people want to face. We often view aging as a failure. We watch our parents slow down. We see their bodies weaken, and a silent panic tells us that something has gone terribly wrong. We are conditioned by a world that worships youth, speed, and endless energy to believe that anything less is a defeat. So when we see our parents unable to keep up the pace they once held, we treat it like an error in the universe. We fight it. We research every vitamin, we schedule endless doctor's appointments, and we push them to keep moving, secretly hoping we can cure the natural passage of time. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that this resistance is the root of our deepest exhaustion. In Buddhist thought, the universe is not a straight line, it is a circle. Everything that rises must eventually rest. Aging is not a flaw in the design of life. It is the design. When we fight the natural slowing down of a human life, we are not just fighting reality, we are fighting the very rhythm of existence itself. Imagine a vast, quiet forest transitioning into deep winter. During the spring and summer, the forest is loud. It is explosive with growth, frantic with movement, and endlessly productive. But as winter approaches, the earth does not panic. The trees do not desperately try to hold on to their leaves. The animals do not mourn the loss of the summer sun. The entire landscape simply slows down. It softens. It surrenders to the cold and allows itself to rest under a blanket of quiet snow. There is a profound dignity in this silence. The earth understands that it cannot be summer forever, and that the deep rest of winter is just as sacred as the blooming of spring. Our modern world only values the summer of a human life. We expect endless productivity. We expect our parents to remain forever sharp, forever active, and forever resilient. When they enter the autumn and winter of their lives, we feel a deep, unsettling friction. We visit them and feel frustrated when they spend most of the afternoon resting in a chair. We feel a heavy sadness when their world shrinks down to the four walls of their home. We want to pull them back into the bright, loud energy of summer, not realizing that their season has simply changed. Ask yourself, are you silently demanding that they live in a season they have already passed? Are you judging their natural need for rest as a tragedy? What if you allowed their slowing down to be a beautiful, dignified surrender rather than a battle to be won? The next time you sit with them and the room feels too quiet, do not rush to fill the silence. Pause. Breathe. Observe the stillness without labeling it as bad or wrong. Let life meet them exactly where they are. Do not demand the energy of spring from a heart that is preparing for the quiet of winter. Because peace is not found by forcing the sun to stay in the sky forever. It is found by learning to sit quietly in the fading light and seeing the beauty in the twilight. But watching them transition into this quieter season often brings up a heavy, unspoken burden within us. And this is where the next truth begins. because beneath the sorrow of watching them age is a quiet voice telling you that you are not doing enough. 6. Releasing the guilt of not being enough. What if the heavy guilt you carry is not proof of your failure, but proof of your impossible expectations? Here is the truth few people want to face. Watching your parents age often brings a crushing sense of inadequacy. As the natural roles slowly reverse, and you begin to care for the ones who once cared for you, a silent, exhausting voice begins to whisper that you are failing. You feel guilty when you are at work, instead of sitting with them. You feel guilty when you lose your patience over a repeated question or a misplaced item. You feel a heavy sorrow when you go back to your own busy, vibrant life, knowing they are sitting in a quiet house alone. You desperately want to fix their pain, their confusion, and their loneliness. And when you realize you cannot, you turn the blame inward. You carry the impossible weight of believing that if you just tried a little harder, you could make everything okay. Buddhism reminds us that this crushing guilt is often born from the illusion of ultimate control. We suffer deeply because we convince ourselves that we have the power to stop the natural suffering and physical decline of another human being. One of the deepest lessons of Buddhism is the understanding that we cannot walk another person's path for them. We are called to offer deep compassion, patience, and loving kindness, but we must also recognize the limits of our own hands. We cannot digest their pain, and we cannot stop the turning wheel of time. When you believe that their aging is a problem you must completely solve, you are no longer loving them. You are managing an impossible project. Imagine standing on the shore of a vast ocean, trying desperately to protect a beautiful, fragile sandcastle from the incoming tide. You stand in front of it with your arms wide open, trying to catch the waves, trying to hold back the heavy water with your bare hands. You become utterly exhausted, freezing, and battered by the endless surf. And despite all your desperate, frantic efforts, the tide still comes in. The sandcastle still slowly washes away. The suffering in this moment does not come from the ocean, which is simply doing what oceans naturally do. The deep suffering comes from the belief that it was your job to hold back the sea. Think about your own life and the impossible burdens you place quietly on your own shoulders. You rush from your job to their house, frantically trying to organize their world, fix their problems, and keep their spirits up, all while carrying your own deep exhaustion. And when you finally drive home, instead of feeling the peace of having helped, you feel the sharp sting of guilt for leaving. You are standing in the ocean, fighting the tide, completely forgetting that you are only human. Ask yourself, are you secretly believing you have the power to rewrite the rules of aging? Is this heavy guilt actually bringing them comfort, or is it simply breaking your own spirit? What would happen if you accepted that your gentle presence is enough, even when it cannot fix the unfixable? The next time that cold wave of guilt washes over you, stop, breathe, observe the thought without following it. Remind yourself that you cannot cure the passage of time. Do your part with a full heart, offer your warmth, and then release the impossible outcome. Stop trying to hold back the ocean, because true compassion is not found in being a perfect savior. It is found in simply being a steady companion while the tide comes in. But to be a true companion, we must learn to quiet the frantic noise in our own minds. And this is where the next truth begins. Because the greatest gift you can give them is not your endless effort, but your undivided spirit. 7. The practice of true presence. What if the most valuable thing you have to offer is not your ability to fix things, but your willingness to simply be there? Here is a truth we often overlook. We live in a world completely obsessed with doing. When we sit with our aging parents, we instinctively look for problems to solve. We want to organize their medications, fix the broken handle on the door, sort through their mail, and schedule their upcoming weeks. We treat the visit as a frantic checklist. We do this because completing tasks feels like a tangible form of love. But if we are completely honest, we also do this because staying busy protects us. It distracts us from the uncomfortable, quiet reality of their aging. If we are constantly moving, we do not have to sit still and feel the sadness of watching them slow down. But in doing all these things, we often forget to actually be with them. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that the greatest act of love we can offer another human being is our pure, undivided attention. In Buddhist thought, when we are constantly focused on tasks, our minds are living in the future, planning what needs to be done next. We are entirely disconnected from the now. True presence means anchoring your mind completely in the current moment, offering your whole, unfiltered spirit to the person sitting right in front of you. It is the profound practice of witnessing someone without trying to change their reality. Imagine a single, bright candle resting on a table in a quiet, dark room. The candle does not race around the room trying to aggressively chase away every single shadow. It does not try to fix the cracks in the walls or sweep the dust from the floor. It simply stands in the center of the space and burns. It offers its light steadily and quietly. And yet, its mere presence changes the entire feeling of the room. It brings a profound warmth, safety, and focus to the darkness simply by being exactly what it is. Think about how this mirrors your own life. When you rush around your parents' house, frantic and busy, you are a flickering, unstable light. You might be physically in the room, but your spirit is miles away, lost in a whirlwind of tasks and anxieties. Your parents do not just need a project manager, they need the child they raised. They need the warmth of your steady, unhurried presence. They need to know that they are worth your stillness, not just your frantic effort. Ask yourself, when was the last time you sat, perfectly still with them, completely without an agenda? Are you using your endless busyness as a shield to protect your own heart from the quiet sorrow of looking deeply into their eyes? What if your calm, simple presence is the exact comfort they are truly longing for? The next time you go to visit them, pause before you walk through the door. Breathe. Leave your heavy mental checklist outside for just 15 minutes. Sit down directly beside them. Let the feeling of simply being together rise up without making it a task to complete or a problem to solve. Listen to the rhythm of their voice without desperately planning your next response, because peace is not found at the bottom of a completed to-do list. It is found in the quiet, shared space between two completely open hearts. But practicing true presence brings us completely face to face with the sorrow we have been trying to manage. And this is where the next truth begins. Because true healing only arrives when we finally stop trying to control how long the sadness stays. 8. Letting grief move on its own schedule. What if your deep exhaustion does not come from the sadness itself, but from forcing it to leave? We live in a world demanding efficiency, even from our own hearts. When we feel the ache of watching parents grow older, our instinct is to manage it. We put our sorrow on a schedule. We think, I felt this sadness yesterday. I cried over this last week. I should be used to it by now. We treat grief like an inconvenience, a guest who overstayed their welcome. We become impatient with our hearts, demanding that the pain pass quickly for our routine. But grief does not wear a watch. Buddhism reminds us that our suffering multiplies when we try to dominate the natural flow of our emotions. The mind constantly seeks control. But one of the deepest lessons of Buddhism is that you cannot force an emotion to disappear simply because you are tired. When we demand that sadness leave on our rigid human schedule, we create a violent internal friction. We are no longer just hurting, we are suffering now. Imagine a vast, open sky. High above, a heavy, dark cloud drifts into view, carrying rain. If you stand on the ground and scream at the cloud does not listen. It will not speed up because you are impatient. It will not disappear because you have other things to do today. The cloud will simply move at its own pace, drifting gently across the sky until the wind carries it away. Your anger does not change weather. You are sitting at your desk, trying to work, or driving home, and suddenly a wave of sorrow hits you. You picture your father's fragile steps. Instead of feeling the love and the ache, you get frustrated. You tell yourself, "I do not have time for this right now. I must be strong." You are screaming at the cloud. You are demanding that a deeply profound, sacred human experience conform to your busy calendar. Ask yourself, are you punishing yourself? Why are you rushing the very emotion that proves how much they mean to you? What if you stopped looking at the clock and let clouds drift? The next time that familiar heaviness returns, do not look at your watch. Pause, breathe. Do not command the sadness to leave. Let the feeling rise slowly. Say to your own heart, you can stay exactly as long as you need to. Give the sorrow permission to move at its own natural speed, because peace is not achieved by violently evicting your pain. Peace is found when you finally drop the timeline and let the heart heal naturally. But dropping the timeline completely changes how we view the end of the journey. And this is where the final truth begins. Watching them fade is beautiful. 9. Finding peace in the cycle of life. We began this journey by acknowledging that sudden, quiet ache, the breathless moment when you look at the people who have been the unwavering pillars of your entire existence, and you see the undeniable marks of time. We explored the frantic panic of watching the years slip through your clenched fingers. We discussed the exhausting burden of grieving, a future that has not yet arrived, and the crushing guilt of believing you should somehow be able to stop the tide from rolling in. But what if the end of this journey is not about losing them, but about finally learning how to truly love them without fear? Buddhism reminds us that our deepest peace is never found by escaping the natural cycle of life. It is found by completely and gracefully surrendering to it. When you finally stop trying to freeze time, you stop being a prisoner of your own anxiety. When you gently release the demand that they remain forever strong, you make space to honor the profound beauty of their vulnerability. Imagine taking all the frantic, exhausted energy you have spent trying to manage their aging, trying to force the clouds to move faster, trying to hold back the river. Imagine opening your hands and simply letting all that heavy armor drop to the ground. You are no longer fighting the autumn. You are no longer terrified of the approaching winter. You are simply standing in the quiet forest, witnessing the natural sacred turning of the earth. You have finally stopped trying to control the weather, and instead, you have learned how to sit peacefully in the rain. Watching a parent grow older is one of the heaviest burdens a human heart will ever carry. But it is not a tragedy. It is the completion of a beautiful ancient circle. The hands that look so fragile today are the very same hands that carried your weight when you could not walk. Their slowing down is not a flaw in the universe. It is the quiet dignity of a body and a spirit that have given everything they had to this world. And that heavy, persistent grief you feel, it is not a sickness to be cured. It is not an enemy to be defeated. It is simply love. It is love transforming, adjusting to a new season, and proving that it will remain long after the physical form begins to fade. Ask yourself, what if you stopped fighting the turning wheel of time? What if you decided that today, right now, in this exact moment, everything is enough? You do not have to have all the answers. You do not have to be the perfect savior. You only have to be present. The next time you sit quietly with them, let go of tomorrow. Let the sorrow come and go without checking your watch. Forgive yourself for being perfectly human. Let the silence between you be a space of profound safety, not a void of fear. Love them in the fading light, and trust that the warmth you share today is completely untouched by time. If these lessons touched your heart, share this video with someone who may need a little more peace today. You can let go now.